exhausted, but what is exhausted in you? You are not exhausted. You happen to have a part of you that's overdoing. And where can we balance it so that you feel more whole and more relaxed? It's gonna be okay. You feel tired? No energy? Well, in which area of your life do you feel that lack at the moment? It could be in what you are doing, so your productivity. It could be about being very controlling, wanting to control a lot of things, and when we want to control a lot of things, we tend to get a little more tense and the muscles contract, usually around the gut. Maybe it's your heart. See, there's quite a bit of options. Yes, and there's even more. It could be expressing yourself. You don't feel the need to express yourself, or you don't feel the courage to express yourself. Maybe you're overthinking. You have anxiety. Maybe you feel like there's no purpose. You can have a lot of them at the same time, but think of your spine as a straight line with different energy centers, and they all associate with a part of your body. So the end of your spine is your creative physical energy, creating life, your desire, arousal. Then you have more of that creative energy, letting go, going with the flow, trusting. And you also have the doing, where that's the part of your soul that uses the body to get something done, like going to the gym or starting a business. I know we think that because working out and making money are different, unless you're a gym influencer, that they require different types of energies, but they come from the same energy center. And if you go a little bit higher, closer to the heart, you tap into that selfless energy where it's about giving and doing. And I think that just because of the nature of human beings, that one is especially challenging to tap into if you are not born with a predisposition and a nurturing family to feel like giving equals happiness. Like if your parents never gave anything to you and they never made you feel like giving was a good thing, it's possible that you don't naturally have it. But everything gets better. You can work on anything. Yeah, if you go a little bit higher, it's about expressing your needs, expressing yourself, saying what you need. It's different from knowing what you need. And when you know what you need but you don't say it, you build that frustration and that anger. Because why can't people just read my mind? If I was them, I would totally understand what needs to be done. Maybe you give off signals with your body language and some actions. The silent treatment can be one of those. Or just changing the attitude from one thing to another. That's usually when that energy center, the throat area, is weak. We're going to say what it is for what it is. And then if you go a little bit higher, we tap into that creativity, purpose. And if you've ever looked at the Maslow's pyramid, I think that's how you pronounce it. I learned about it in French, so hopefully it's the same words. But you have different categories of safety, purpose, love, and not in that order. I'll put the graph on the screen, and most likely, no matter the system you're using to quantify, qualify the parts of you, there will always be weaker parts and stronger parts. And sometimes we are really, really good at one, and it is overactive to the detriment of everything else. And maybe that's a sacrifice you need to do. I don't think it's crazy to think that if you start a business, the first year you're gonna have to zone out from everything and zone into the business. But if you maintain that state for years and years and years and years, you most likely will be very successful. But the rest of your energy centers or the other sides of you will feel that feeling that you're describing, that exhaustion. If it's physical, it's probably because you're exhausting all of your energy into doing. If it's mental, you're probably exhausting all of your energy into thinking. And if it's emotional, then maybe you're a little bit too selfless, with a lack of boundaries, someone who doesn't use their throat energy center to communicate any need, but gives relentlessly in hopes that people simply understand that how you treat people is how you want to be treated. And maybe if you're not at that stage yet, you simply change your attitude. You give the silent treatment. You do it in a way that condone someone in order to make them see and feel how you feel. So you see, there's a lot of ways that you can be exhausted. And even when you feel really, really at the end of the rope, there's always little parts of you that are still going great. And so I don't want you to only put yourself in that exhausted, I don't feel creative anymore, I don't feel like myself anymore category, because you being you, just being and not doing, is enough. And I know it's not maybe glorified in society, as it won't push you to achieve more if you think this way. But you are not your achievements, meaning you don't leave with them. You don't leave the earth with any material goods that you were able to buy. You leave an impact, you leave a legacy. And when you zone in and you grind 24/7 and you forget to build that legacy and you think, I'll do it later, I'll get into dating later, I'll get into making friends later when I'm where I want to be. You assume that people are still going to be available when you are at that time. And like I said, I completely understand sometimes we need to do certain things to achieve a business, achieve a goal. But if we keep delaying being active and present in our families and with our friends, thinking that we get to choose whenever we invest time in them and whenever we will be ready, they'll have to be ready for us too, completely dismisses that by the time you're ready to invest in your family, invest in your friends, maybe they'll have moved on. I know that for a family it's hard to move on because you're bonded by so much more than values, sometimes not values at all. Sometimes in a family there's no values that are shared. You're bonded by blood, you're bonded by the essence, the tradition. And when we push friends and family aside, we assume that nothing's gonna happen to them, that our friends are not gonna be by that time married and very busy in their own personal life. I think that being present with family, spending time with loved ones, allows us to also recharge other energy centers while we're working on other things. And so, do we need to be all in one of our energy centers and dismiss everything else? I don't know. I think for a little while it can serve someone, but probably not in the long run. But when we feel like, okay, it's been a little bit too much, I'm a little bit exhausted, like you're saying, we have a hard time. I don't know if you'll agree with this, but we have a hard time letting go of that part of us that is so used to overdoing. Maybe it's overthinking, because I keep talking about building a business and the family, which represent two very different energies. Building a family is definitely not like building a business. You're not picking your partner depending on the market's value and how other people are going to respond to them and how much they're going to be able to be sold in that amount of time, and if you have a good return on investment and if they're going to last you for a long time. Well, listen, everything can be arguable, but in family there's this one component that is humanity, which we don't necessarily have in business. Not in all businesses, that is. And I know there's people that don't even have humanity in their own family, and that is very sad. But what I mean is, in regard to all of the rambles that we're going into, anyone can exhaust themselves in any way possible. We're not here to demonize making money or having a business or being goal-oriented. Because someone desperately wanting to feel like a good person or good enough could exhaust themselves going to church, doing humanitarian work, giving to everyone but themselves every single day. Someone who's obsessed with being perceived as a good person could also do virtue signaling all day and exhaust themselves because all they do is signal, but they don't live, they don't walk the talk. So let's not just act like it's simply business, but I'll say in society, in the way that we live, in the way that we exist right now, there is an emphasis on obviously having a career and obviously working hard. And that is why it's important to sometimes just open that door and see what's in there. Do I still need to grind the way that I did 5 years ago? Could I delegate a little bit? That's the speech of a lot of business owners. It's hard to delegate, or it's hard to, like we said, let go of that side of you that is so used to overworking. And it's almost like that sense of control and that sense of feeling like you are in charge and you are able to remain in, how can I say, you're able to remain in that energy, but it's almost as if living that way removes a lot of mental charge. In a sense, it's hard physically, but mentally, if you're repeating the same day every day, you don't think anymore about what do I have to do today, because it's your routine and you're used to doing it. So in that sense, opening that door, asking those questions require maybe half a day on its own and maybe a full 24 hours. Reflecting on, where am I going with this? Because sometimes we think we really want one thing, but given that thing, we wouldn't feel more fulfilled. Sometimes we feel like things are due to us, or why did this not happen for me? But given that opportunity, we would have not been able to handle it. Yeah, we're always at a different stage in life. And we have to trust that when something is given to us, an opportunity, a chance, we only are able to take on what we really want and what we really deserve. If that relationship didn't work out, that job didn't work out, that business didn't work out, we might wonder, why did it work for her? Why did it work for him but not for me? While the reason it didn't work for you is because not only something better is on the way according to your needs, but because it was simply not meant to be. That's possible, that something is not meant to be. And trust that if you would have been able to handle that opportunity, that chance, you would have taken it. Now, I don't really believe in regrets, because you take a decision with the best of your ability to think hard about the consequences. And look, sometimes we need to learn how to think about consequences, because we have personalities that only makes us want to feel and experience and feel the adrenaline and the excitement, and we don't think long term. Well, that's a good question, but let me just wrap that thought so we don't get lost into this rambling. But what I meant is that, look, for some people, learning to think is the first step, because being in action is so addictive. But if we live that way and we never challenge ourselves, we never open that door, we overload that energy center where it exudes and it becomes everything that you are. It just lacks balance. There's just no flow in the body. If the energy is stuck at one place, it doesn't move, and your potential resides in the whole spectrum of you. So yeah, the energy centers, they're interesting to think about. I think we talked about a lot of different ways to see whatever is unbalanced and whatever is balanced. You're overthinking, the energy is stuck there, it's not moving. So you gotta do something that's more of the rest of your body. If the energy is stuck at the bottom of your spine, the end of your spine, and it's all about, you just want to get in relationships, you just think about seduction, you drool all day and think about people, there's an energy block that's locked at the end of your spine, at the bottom of your spine. So for you to do anything else but that would benefit you. If your energy is stuck in your core at doing, being productive, doing anything that's outside of that would help. Something that's not performance based, as an example. I actually wanted to let you know about this because I've been reading a lot about meditation, because you know that I upload meditations, I meditate every day, and it's important to see how different lines of thinking can exist in that one area. And the more I read, the more interesting I find the idea that we are more than the body, and to think about everything as energy, to have fun. I feel like it's a kind of play, and it keeps us young to see things this way. I know for sure that understanding the different energy centers truly allowed me to balance myself better, and I do hope that this is something that can help, especially when you're coming to me and you're saying that you're exhausted. Like, yeah, you're exhausted, but what is exhausted in you? You are not exhausted. You happen to have a part of you that's overdoing. And where can we balance it so that you feel more whole and more relaxed